Hey, glad you came to Pocket Roni. We're going to be talking about corresponding triangles. Corresponding parts of corresponding triangles. Corresponding triangles, I have this one triangle here. It's a right triangle with 43-degree angle here and 47-degree here. Over here I have the same thing. These two triangles are congruent. So in one triangle there are 6 parts to a triangle. Every triangle has 3 sides and 3 angles. So there are 6 parts to every triangle, 3 sides and 3 angles. So if I took this triangle, if this triangle is congruent to this triangle, and I can take this triangle and lay it on top of this triangle, then it reasons to say that every part would be the same. That this angle is going to be the same as this angle is the same as this one, and all of our sides, this side would be congruent to this side, the bottom is congruent to this side, and the hypotenuse is congruent to that one. So when we talk about corresponding parts of triangles, we're going to say that this side, line segment AB, corresponds to this line segment DE. Okay? Point A corresponds to point D, point B corresponds to point E, point C corresponds to point F. And so if you took this triangle and laid it on top of the other one, all those points would be corresponding. They would match up. The same is true if we want to say angle ABC, that is the same angle as DEF. Okay? So we're going to be talking about sides and angles that match up with 2 triangles. So let's look at 23C 1 through 5. We have this triangle labeled GHJ and this triangle labeled MLK. So we are told that the 2 triangles do correspond. You're going to be given this information that triangle GHJ, this symbol right here means that they correspond. Basically telling you that they are congruent, that they correspond. You can take one and lay it on top of the other and match them up. So this symbol means corresponds. So my recommendation is to redraw one of the triangles so that they are facing the same direction. Okay, I'm going to leave GHJ. I'm going to take this triangle and redraw it to where it is facing the same direction as this triangle. Now, in my perfect world, my triangles look the same. I know that that's not straight lines. You get to laugh at my drawings. So this side, I'm redrawing this triangle. So this side matches this side. So this is point M. This is point K, which means this has to be point L. Okay? So basically, take this triangle, flip it to where it's facing the same direction as this top one, and then label your points correctly that were over here. Now we can see which sides and angles correspond to each other. Line segment GH. Line segment GH on this triangle corresponds to line segment LM. And it is important to write them in the same order. If point G corresponds to point L, and we're going to say GH, then we should say LM. Do not say ML. Oh wait, I'm not sure how I said it the first time. If we're going to say GH, then we say LM. It's not wrong to say ML, but it is better to say LM. Say it in the same order because point G corresponds with point L, and point H corresponds with point M. Alright, line segment KL. If we're going to go from KL onto this triangle, then we would go JG on that one. Because K corresponds with a J and L corresponds with a G. If we're going to say triangle KML, then we say triangle JHG. Triangle JHG. Make sure and get the right symbol. If you have triangle symbol in front, triangle symbol here. Line segment symbol or angles. So make sure you're using the right symbol. Now we want to say, what does angle HJG correspond to? Angle HJG. Well, H corresponds to M, J corresponds to K, G corresponds to L. So if we're going to say HJG in our first triangle, in the second triangle we say MKL. Angle MKL. So if we have angle GHJ in our first triangle, GHJ, then we want to have LMK in our second one, LMK. The idea is to be able to take one triangle and lay it on top of the other one, and all your points and letters should match up, and you would say them in the same order, as you say the same order for one triangle as for the second triangle. Okay, now we're looking at problem 23E, 1 through 5, and we have this picture of these two triangles, and we are told that these two triangles do correspond to each other, meaning that they are congruent, they are the same. When you have triangles like this that are touching at a point, you cannot just take this triangle and flip it over. The common mistake is to say that point Q corresponds to point S, and point V corresponds to point W, and that is not true. That is not the case. So again, let me repeat, you cannot just take this triangle and flip it over. You have to rotate it around. So you have to take this triangle and rotate it around point T and redraw it. So when you take this triangle and rotate it around, you will see that point S will come all the way around and correspond to point V. So if I took this triangle and rotated it around and redrew it, I always recommend redrawing it. We're going to pretend that my triangles match each other. They don't exactly, but that is point T, or that's still point T because that doesn't change. S comes all the way around to be this one. It would correspond with V. W would be this top point. So if I took this and rotated it all the way around, you can see S is with my pinky finger. So with S is with my pinky finger, when I rotate it all the way around, point S is still down there with my pinky finger. So this is what it would look like if you redraw it. Now that you redraw it, it's easier to see what corresponds with what. So now we can say line segment ST. We're looking at our new picture. ST now corresponds with VT, line segment VT. Because S corresponds with V, W corresponds with Q, and T is the same point. Now we can look at angle WTS. WTS corresponds with QTV, angle QTV. Angle TSW, TSW, let's go the same way on this one, TVQ, angle TVQ. Now we're doing triangle. Triangle TVQ, go in the same order on this one, triangle TSW. Triangle TSW. Triangle VQT. VQT. Now in this triangle, let's go in the same order. SWT. Triangle SWT. So remember, the main thing is when I pick this triangle up and lay it on top, the points are going to correspond, and you just say everything in the same order for each triangle, whether it's a line segment, an angle, or a triangle.